Hello, YouTube. In 1972, a 3-star UFO was observed over the Belarusian Soviet Socialist Republic and the Russian Soviet Federal Socialist Republic. It's the type that later became known as the Belgian Triangle, but years later. So the famous Soviet ufologist Felix Ziegel visited the landing sites and drew a conclusion from what he observed in 1972. One of the very interesting events for Soviet ufology that took place in the Vitebsk region. You can find out more about Felix Ziegel in my books and videos about UFO research in the USSR. Just look through the playlists in this channel for the appropriate topics. You'll find it. The devotee and researcher Felix Ziegel, a scientist par excellence, reportedly often talked about that object in private conversations. Later, Vadim Alexandrovich Chernobrov retold this story from his words, and I'll talk about Vadim later. On September 4, workers at the Vitebsk machine tool plant or factory, named after the Comintern, were returning from their shift. It was a clear evening, and the first stars had already appeared in the sky. Couples strolled through the park. Some sat on benches and gazed up at the sky. In total, about 35 people witnessed the event. Most of them were factory workers. Here's the narrative. Among the scattering of stars, 3 stood out. They were the darkest of all and had a bluish sheen. For a long time, about 20 minutes, they were in a stationary state. After which, slowly at first and then accelerating, they began to circle over the city park. At some point, eyewitnesses noticed that the 3 blue stars were connected by barely noticeable transparent pipes. Moving absolutely silently, the UFO proceeded in a northerly direction, where it was seen by 3 more people. Moreover, the apparatus landed outside the city. This became known the very next day when the city began to gossip about this strange visit of an unknown object. A local resident from the village of Bukatino, that's north of Vitebsk, Gavrila Milenkovich, in an interview with Felix Ziegel, who arrived in there, said that he saw at a distance of 100 meters how a dark blue 3-star ascended above the treetops and sped off towards the forest at high speed. His story formed the basis of the Soviet ufologist's research work pertaining to this case. He visited the alleged UFO landing site and found traces of soil sampling there. Apparently, the volume of the seized soil was about 5 kilograms, since the formed cylindrical depression went 55 centimeters deep and had a diameter of about 40 centimeters. It is not known for what purpose this device, apparatus, collected soil. However, a month later, history repeated itself in the Gomel region. Exactly the same eyewitness accounts: 3 bluish lights, silent movement, and the discovery of a cylindrical depression at the suspected landing site. 4 days later, on October 9, in the Bryansk region, in the village of Krasny Rog, Pochepsky district, 2 residents observed a similar object. However, the research team found no signs of landing. Locals said that the UFO was flying at a low altitude, the height of a corn husker. That's referring to a small civilian aircraft that they used for crops, putting pesticide in crops and so forth. And they saw it well: a triangular shape, dim blue lights, and a translucent body. Apparently, it did not land in this area. Felix Ziegel believed that this object was a drone from another civilization. It arrived on Earth to study the composition of the soil and conduct research. There are both supporters of this hypothesis and those who believe that this apparatus has an terrestrial origin, a secret development of the military. A number of people are leaning towards the opinion or option, hypothesis suggested by Felix Ziegel. Of course, secret developments by scientists and the military exist, but it is unlikely that their incarnations will circle over cities, attracting the attention, albeit of a small number of residents. And then, why would a secret military development collect soil? There are top secret troops with shovels for doing so. This hypothesis really doesn't stand up to criticism, according to a number of people. Now, we'll look at the book of my acquaintance from decades ago, Marina Popovich. The book is titled UFO Over Planet Earth, published in the year 2004. Marina Lavrentievna Popovich. She was colonel engineer of the Russian Air Force, first-class military test pilot in reserve, formerly married to Pavel Popovich, famous Soviet cosmonaut and protector of the UFO researchers. You can find out more about him. Look through the videos. Very interesting. She graduated from the Leningrad Academy of Civil Aviation, Higher Aviation School. Marina Popovich had set 101 world records on various types of aircraft. She was a full member of the International Academy of Sciences of Ecology and Safety of Man and Nature and the Academy of Sciences, Paris, France. The first female test pilot in the Soviet Union and a holder of 13 world records, explorer, ufologist, and author of several books, in one of which she recalled our meeting in 1991 regarding the Phobos probe's destruction and Soviet ufology. She was a very nice lady. And in the book UFO Over the Planet Earth, Marina Popovich has quoted another Russian researcher, author, scientist, and coordinator of the International Paranormal Research Society, the Kosmopoisk. He was very active, but alas, he passed away in 2017. Vadim Chernobrov, very talented young man, very bright scientist. Here's what he had to say about the type of UFOs described above. Exploring a 3-star, so to say, UFO. Would you agree, Chernobrov was asked, that it is difficult to investigate all types of UFOs without exception? Trying to summarize the data obtained by studying completely different objects is all the more impossible. That is why when in the early 1980s his group decided to try to solve the mystery of the apparatus and the principle of operation of man-made UFOs, it was necessary to sharply narrow the scope of their own work. The choice fell on the so-called 3-star UFO due to the fact that it is quite easy to identify. At night, it is visible as 3 lights, during the day as a triangle. In addition, even externally, this object did not resemble any ephemeral formations, clumps, and so forth. I mean, it was quite material, which means it could be someone's vehicle. Over the past 14 years, consider the time it was written, the study of this UFO has yielded some very real results. What's our guess like? Its size is very impressive, even by our standards of the 20th century. Most eyewitnesses claim that the size of UFOs is 35 to 60 meters, although these figures in stories range from 15 to 500 meters. The triangle is crowned by a strange structure located on the roof of the apparatus or craft, resembling a bird cage. At the bottom of the on the flat bottom, there are 3 luminous spheres with a diameter of about 5 meters. Their color can be any, depending on the flight mode, usually red or white. Sometimes these spheres suddenly separate from the craft and make an independent flight. As long as the sphere is in the triangle, it most likely plays the role of an engine, but at any moment can turn into a dinghy or into a small aircraft. There are many cases of these spheres appearing above the ground singly or in formation. In many cases, the moment of landing is described in the following sequence: slow descent, hovering above the surface, then the lander becomes invisible. No one has yet managed to see the triangle standing on the ground, although the Kosmopoisk people have repeatedly found quite tangible traces of its landing during numerous annual expeditions. In the center of the triangle is a hole from which bright flashes, resembling flashing light from a distance, escape during the flight. When a UFO hovers in one place, a spotlight beam rays appears instead of a flashing light. The unusual shape of the cone of light, it would be correct to speak of it as a luminous spindle. The light coming out of the spotlight gathers again at one point half a kilometer from the UFO. And this suggests the answer to one of the mysteries of the triangle apparatus. The space-time field is strongly distorted, curved around it. This is also evidenced by the fact that at the landing sites of such objects, any clock can godlessly lie. Hence, the following mystery was revealed. Why are these UFOs often not detected by radar? It is simple. Radio waves are still reflected from the body of an unidentified object, but after passing through the altered time field, the radio beam will return to the receiving antenna of the locator much later. The target mark on the overview screen, if it appears, is not at all where it is expected. What does such a field of altered time give to the Belgian Triangle? Judge for yourself. Its speed is more than 2,000 kilometers per hour, and a speed of more than 407,000 kilometers per hour outside the Earth's atmosphere has also been recorded. At the same time, when landing, they were lucky enough to see it up close 3 times. Vladim's group and him. Its speed ranges from 0 to 30 to 45 kilometers an hour. Acceleration and deceleration are more than rapid, if not instantaneous. UFOs can hover like a helicopter in one place and after a couple of seconds have supersonic speed. Flying saucer designs do not crumble to power from such monstrous overloads. According to calculations, they're about 100,000 times faster than the acceleration of free fall on Earth, only because time is slowed down inside the apparatus or craft itself. Based on the data obtained in the Moscow Aviation Institute, they conducted several series of experiments to study the effects associated with the time dilation, and work is underway to create electromagnetic propulsion systems for future generations of aircraft that are close to man-made UFOs and their capabilities. Nevertheless, both the study of the phenomenon and the traditional summer expeditions of Kosmopoisk would definitely continue. A kind of database on the 3-star UFO has been created, and they, the Kosmopoisk, would be grateful to anyone who can report anything about their own observations. That's what I wanted to let you know today. That's what I have. This was written long ago, but the mystery, it remains. Of course, we do not know what the various military programs know, but undoubtedly, they're also collecting and analyzing data, but their resources are not limited. And of course, it would be great in the modern ufology to have people like Marina Popovich or Vadim Chernobrov, researchers par excellence, scientists, trained military people, dedicated to the idea to discovering, unraveling the secret. But I don't see too many people like them today. Maybe in the future more will come up, will show up, will become active in the field. That's what I wanted to let you know today. If you like my research, please kindly support me through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel, make sure you're notified of new videos. And thank you for your attention to my work.